Testing. Welcome to FTB Weekends. It is Saturday, the 10th of September, 2022. It is currently 12:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we're recording this, in case things change. I'm Jason C. McLean. There I am. I'm Jason C. McLean, and welcome, as always, Dawn McSweeney. Hey, Dawn, how's it going?
It's good. How about you?
It's good. It's good. Well, I mean, the thing is, one thing, like we talk about things that in case things change or develop since we recorded this, one thing I don't think is going to change is the fact that the big news out of England, they still haven't decided a new James Bond. No, sorry. The big news out of England is Queen Elizabeth II, the longest reigning monarch in British history, the second longest reigning provable monarch in world history, has passed away at the age of 96. And her son is now King Charles III. And that happened instantaneously. So yeah. Reactions, thoughts, prayers?
Still sad about Robin Williams and Anthony Bourdain. Didn't kind of have the same relationship with the Queen. Yeah. The monarchy's weird. The people getting upset about it, it's weird. Does Charles go on our money now, or do we keep the Queen? I'm so confused.
Well, I think that the money takes a little bit of time. So if he's still king when they do issue the next batch of money, I believe he will be on it. Until then, it's still the Queen, because the money that's out right now is, I think, already being printed or is already set to go. I know there was a...
I'm Irish, and while I'm no good at politics or history, I'm familiar with the fact that well, she was a colonizer. Like, it's like that. Like, this whole thing is her greatness is built much like Yertle the Turtle of Dr. Seuss fame on the backs of others. And when the sun never set on the British Empire, that wasn't something cute. That was something about how much of the world they actually managed to take over in not a nice way. So this is very interesting. So I don't want to leave that unsaid. But what I do know about King Charles is that he's a vegetarian, which is kind of unheard of in that family. So there is some very progressive kind of views on the environment as a whole and the impact our actions have on it, as well as I believe he's had a better relationship with Indigenous people than his predecessor. And so hopefully those two mesh as they really should, and that he could bring forth some voices and hopefully support some changes that'll help solidify the future of the world and not just the British Empire.
Yeah. See, I've been seeing some people, like, for example, online when this broke, obviously as expected, there's people mourning the Queen or said tributes to the fact she was pretty. I mean, she became queen at 25, and she's the longest reigning monarch in British history and all that. But there's also I'm seeing people that are celebrating her death, like they celebrate like when Margaret Thatcher died, or when a politician or some like war criminal or something like that. Now the Queen, though, what I'm thinking about the Queen, though, is the British the British monarchy and the British Empire is one thing, but these days the monarchy is actually more of a company. Like they have a lot. The whole thing saying the Queen is the world's biggest landowner is actually, it's not true, because that actually takes into account the entire British Commonwealth, like all of Canada and whatever. But what that hides is the fact that there's a corporation called the British Trust or something, or the British Land Trust, or so the Crown Land Trust, and it's they actually own like several $1 billion worth of real estate. They're property managers and stuff. So there's a whole business side to what they're doing, and this sort of.
Same with McDonald's. I just found out that the majority of their money is strangely not on McDonald's franchises, but on the amount of property they own.
Well,
so it is sometimes funny. It is the quiet part that's making the dollars, right? So to me, seeing them as a business doesn't make them better.
No, but it also, at the same time, too, is the Queen has very little actual government. I mean, yes, technically she can overturn a parliament, but she has very little government power, even in Britain, let alone anywhere else. So, like, how much of all? Yeah, but I mean, how much of all the atrocities, for example, the residential schools, anything like colonization, all that stuff, how much is she personally, or the current, or Charles now personally responsible for, or are they like the same way, for example, a Margaret Thatcher might be responsible because they're actually making the decisions, or how much is she just a figurehead?
I don't know enough about Margaret Thatcher, but what I do know is that when you have such power and you hold such sway over the people, you have, even if you don't have technical power, you have power over the people. And at any point, as we could see with Meghan and her husband, which one's he now?
Uh,
The one who stepped away.
Andrew,
Like
Andrew,
there,
Andrew.
no, Andrew's the Jeffrey Epstein
No,
friend.
no, that's a different Andrew. They're Harry. Yeah.
So I mean,
William's the heir apparent now to Charles.
so
Yeah.
you could do something so drastic. You have all that power. You could do something drastic, is what I'm saying. So if at any point she wanted to turn things around. Now, what I do think is interesting and that I can't come to terms with, much like the Dalai Lama, royalty, and the like, anytime when you're like at a young age, you're just tapped. And now this is your life. And now your life is an ultimate sacrifice in a way, whether it's to a good cause or a bad cause. I'm very curious about the human being behind it, who then has to sacrifice 70 years to public life in the most extraordinary and scrutinized way that anybody, like, it's fascinating from that point of view. Like, I would have been curious to see inside her brain and how she felt about never having a moment of her real self. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm sure she had some moments without the cameras around. Like,
but it's weird because you're always upholding that thing. You're the goddamn queen. Like,
yeah.
so whether or not you think the institution is good or should be abolished or who the hell cares or any of those things, it's fascinating sociologically that we still cast people into this role. And it's weird. And I don't know that it's necessary at all. And it's really weird. And people get so excited and so sad. Like, let me tell you, my Facebook feed was a lot of people who have never expressed any interest in the royalty fucking shedding tears. Like, it's just, I'm baffled. I guess a lot of
Well,
people.
she's a celebrity. She is a celebrity. I mean, regardless of anything, she's definitely was a huge celeb. Like, she's on our money. She's the only queen we've ever had.
We lost Joan Rivers. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, technically speaking, you and I are both. I never actually had to swear allegiance to the queen, but anyone new coming into this country has to take an oath. In fact, there was something I saw on Twitter with people who were about to take their oath to the queen, who were about to for their citizenship ceremony, and there was a delay because they were trying to figure out what to do because she had just died.
Because you have to make changes to the kid. That's amazing. Those are the things I'm interested in. But it's really weird. It's really weird. We have,
but she's the only queen we've ever had, Dawn, in my lifetime, my mother's lifetime.
But we all knew she was going to pass. I'm not saying that makes it better. Yeah. I'm not like, but like Pope John Paul was the only pope I had known in my lifetime for a long time. And then one day he died. True. So like I said, it's just that I wasn't. That's not where my attachment lies.
But technically speaking, were you ever Catholic? Because even though you're not like a monarchist, you technically speaking are a subject of the British crown, and so am I.
Catholic, if it counts at all. But I mean, I do remember Princess Di and Charles's wedding. That's how old I am. So it is weird to me to see him as king because I remember him then.
Yeah, Camilla is the queen consort, by the way. That he didn't even mention Diana in his speech. I watched his speech. He talked about his mother, obviously mainly about his mother, about his son, about even Meghan Markle. He mentioned Camilla. He didn't mention Diana one bit in his first speech as king. Yeah, I guess
but because also now weird is his son and wife are now the Prince and Princess of Wales, which is weird because now you're married to the woman who has the same title your mother used to. Is that creepy?
Well, you have the same title your father used to.
I mean, I guess, but nobody calls me it.
I don't know. I mean, I find it kind of funny. These people go around their grandmothers on money. Like, it's like that. It's the
whole thing is a mind fuck. Like, everybody gets fussy about like, oh, the Kardashians or whatever, but like, royalty is weird, man. Royalty's weird. The Pope is weird. These things are like these things that we have literally decided are really just higher than humanity in a way. And these institutions that are we just believe in them so hard. Like, I understand that it adds to a continuity. I understand that it gives something to look up to. I understand that in Britain they're probably less inclined to fall for the celebrity trap because they have a royal family. Like, it
Yeah.
makes no sense to obsess over that, and maybe that's better because nobody there is on Love Island, so maybe it lends to a higher standard. But on the
I
one hand, I don't care, and on the other hand, I'm pretty sure it's no good.
But I've been watching House of the Dragon, and I've watched Game of Thrones before that, and I'm just wondering, are they going to start fighting with the dragons? Like, what's going to happen? Like, I'm
If
sort of
the
getting my concepts of.
if the dragons are listening to you, we'll let you be the leader. Like, that's not a confusion. If you have dragons, I mean, I see your point.
Yeah. So I guess our conclusion is that you and I are probably not the best people to finally have the final say and verdict on
No, we're
the
both
existence of
mixed.
the
Why are
British
you gonna
monarchy.
ask a couple of mix about the monarchy?
Yeah, but like, yeah, it's but yeah, but I mean, at the same time too, it's like I'm seeing all the sides of it, but like, yeah, like she's like also she's kind of, I mean, she was also famously hypocritical, wearing a like $1 million crown while talking about austerity because the government wanted her to talk about austerity,
Every
but like,
politician, every celebrity. That's just every. Oh, speaking of Anthony Bourdain, though, because I saw a clip today online. Apparently, when he was in Newfoundland, somebody he was drinking with toasted the Queen, and Anthony Bourdain gave him a death stare and just looked at him and said, "No, man, I hate the aristocracy."
okay, well, that's Anthony Bourdain. That's probably a lot of my friends on Facebook too. I guess before the thing is the what we were going to talk about is we were going to do I think a plug fest after the monarchy before this story broke and we actually have to talk about the real news. We were going to talk about you and I. We have a project called The Outside World. It's a radio drama from Silo Voice Studios, not from Forget the Box, and it dropped. The first 2 episodes dropped today, right,
Let
Don?
me do the little quick, concise plug. So, what we have here is our pandemic project. What we have is 2 years of hard, dedicated work from 3 actors, writers, and a couple of amazing sound people, some amazing musicians. And what we have is 2 years of work that worked out to about 100 minutes of product, which is crazy, but it's precious and it's awesome. And what we have is a near future dystopian radio drama with slick modern production. It's in Montreal. We have soft cheeses. We have androids. We have jokes of questionable quality. We have romance. We have revolution. You got to go get it.
Yes, and I mean, of course, while you're you can. It's great to binge watch it, but there's 2 episodes up now. It's 10-minute episodes, roughly, and there's and every Saturday, the first 2 episodes are up now. Then every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, a new episode drops at. It's going to be. I'm going to put it in the description. TheOutsideWorld.silovoice.com, and also it's wherever you get your podcast too. Well, most places. There's a place called Deezer. Have you ever heard of Deezer?
I've heard of Deezer.
Well, we're on Deezer. I had never heard of Deezer. We're on Stitcher, on the Apple, what have you. Okay, so that's a short plug. After our long talk about Her Royal Highness, the late Queen Elizabeth II, and the new King Charles III, the man who will soon be on our money. Oh, by the way, with money, you can actually donate to this project through Patreon or single donations through PayPal. Anyways, so follow, besides checking that out, follow Dawn McSweeney at McMoxie on Twitter and Instagram, me at Jason C. McLean on Twitter and Instagram, at Forget the Box on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're watching this on Facebook, follow Forget the Box, like and share the video. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, get our Android app, and of course, for daily content, and it's not all royal content, some of it's very commoner content. You can check out forgetthebox.net. We'll catch you next week for another FTB weekend.